What's up, broskies? Today my Mishimoto radiator, it finally came in and we're gonna have a look on how to install it. So here it is, my brand spanking new Mishimoto radiator. Full aluminum and yeah, it's looking really nice. Love the welds on it. You can see nice and yeah, I believe this will be TIG welded. Oh yeah, it's aluminum, so yes. Here is a spot for the temp gauge, that is, or the temp sensor I should say. That is also in the original radiator. There goes the lower radiator hose. Over here the higher or the upper radiator hose. And as you can see, this radiator does not have a built-in expansion tank. Like the standard one. Here is the one that came out. As you can see here we have the expansion tank. So I ordered also an external expansion tank. Both from Mishimoto on a Black Friday deal. I think I saved about 100 euros on the two. Still cost me 300, so not cheap, but you get some value for your money, at least I hope. The tank looks really nice. All the welds, yeah, the filler cap. Then I believe this is to let the air out. This I need to connect to right here. It's the overflow from the radiator. And then the lower hose, the one that I just replaced. So this one, this is the one you connect on the bottom of the expansion tank right here. And the other, you see the threaded hole. Well, that's where this thing goes. I'll show you. So right here, and that's basically the sender that gives an alarm to the system in E36 when your coolant is too low, and then the light comes on. So I don't have such active light in this car, but I do need that to close that hole. And yeah, I'm just gonna see where I have to put this, because it's, well, this part, the top of the coolant tank, should be the highest point of the cooling system. So yeah, and as you can see, the engine, well, the water doesn't come to here actually. It only, well, yeah, it comes about here, I guess, something like that in the head. So I've put it, I was thinking of putting it against here as high as I can. I think that should do. And if that doesn't work, I can always put it here. There's some place here. It's close to the headers, not ideal, but we'll see. Maybe I can make a plate for it, but I'm first gonna do it here. And if I can't get it, I've lost the word. If I can't get it bled, then we'll maybe change it, but that's the plan for now. So I'm first gonna, I already test fitted this. It's really tight. I have like 5 millimeters of room on each side from the frame rails, but it's the biggest thing that can fit in here, and it fits great. So this is actually an E36 radiator, and the reason I went with an E36 one is because first of all, Mishimoto or some other of the big aftermarket radiator brands, they don't actually make a radiator for the E28 chassis. So that, yeah, obviously didn't have a choice, but also I have an E36 engine in my car, so that for me it's a logical step that an E36 radiator should fit, and I don't have problems with the hoses and stuff like that. And the expansion tank is also E36. So I'm gonna show you how it fits into the bay. So you can see the branding on the front, big M. Alright. Just carefully, don't want to damage it. And that is where it's going to sit. Something like that. So looks good. As I said, not a lot of room here, but yeah, it's a perfect fit. You know, if you look from this side, it's and just let it stay like this. Where it begins, it's just as wide as this opening. I'm going to take this plate out or make it as well into here, so it's exactly the same. The height is pretty good. So yeah, and just looks really cool with the M. Just gonna have to see how I'm gonna mount it. I think I'm gonna try and see if I have those clamps from an E36 and see if I could use them here. That would be really nice. But otherwise, I see there's a threaded hole here and over there also. And I could make a bracket that clamps it onto here, so it really doesn't move. On the bottom, the radiator is the same as on the as on top, so with these ribs. And so I'm gonna try to the bushes that I have, they fit nice in here, and then when the radiator pushes down, it really can't move anymore. So, because I don't want to ruin this one like I did that one. I'm gonna take it out now and compare it to the original one, so you have an idea of how big the difference is. So, tada! So the height is actually exactly the same, but as you can see, the Mishimoto one is about, I'd say, 20% wider. So 20% more capacity, which is always good. And yeah, I think these end tanks are also going to hold a little bit more. But yeah, you can clearly see it's quite an improvement. And actually the thickness is the same. So I thought the Mishimoto one was going to be a little bit thicker, but it isn't. But I guess this will be more than sufficient. They also advise to use one like this even when you're going turbo and stuff, when everything's a lot hotter, so I'm confident that this should work. I'm gonna have a look at my Spalk fan, because I still haven't installed it, and I'm gonna see if and how I can connect it to the radiator. But also the wiring from the fan, I haven't done it before, so I'm gonna have a look. It's normally not that hard, just need to put a fuse somewhere, and I'm gonna see. The plan is that I can use this temperature sensor to indicate when the fan has to activate. So I've taken a look again on the bottom. So these are the ribs I'm gonna use to keep it in place with just a rubber that sits in the middle, the one that's on the car. I've noticed on the left side it fits, but on the right side my rubber is too far to the outside and it goes beyond these ribs. So I'm gonna move the rubber in the car a little bit more to the middle, like 5 or 10 centimeters, and then that is solved. So make sure you know what I'm saying. You have those two rubbers, and the one there on the left, I'm going to move more to the middle of the car. There are plenty of holes I can use, so yeah, just going to take one riv nut, and then that is sorted. So this is how it is going to look. My Spalk setup. Got it from USB. So yeah, it's literally the biggest one that can fit the radiator, so I think it's gonna work really well. And so with the kit, I got these little arms. They click into place here, and then you basically have all this length. And I've put it like this. And as you can see, it already came with some riv nuts. I believe this is for mounting an oil cooler. But I'm going to do the same tactic, and I'm gonna drill holes here and put basically 4 riv nuts in the radiator, and then just secure it like that with 4 bolts. And I don't think it's going to move very far. Fits in there pretty good. Just here it's touching, so I'm just going to grind a little bit down. And I've seen what I could also do is use those holes that I made to connect the fan. I could actually put longer bolts in and directly bolt all 3 together. So I think I'm gonna do it like that. So now the radiator itself is fixed. Now we're gonna move on to the expansion tank, which is going to be a different story. Because so basically I have this here, but the connection to the coolant expansion tank is like that. So I should put a bend of 90 if I place it here, which I'm still not sure about, because I think it's going to be too low. Another thing I need to tell you guys about is the coolant hoses. So you might notice that the upper one is a bit longer than usual, and that is because the radiator is wider and the stock upper radiator hose is too narrow or too short. It comes out like about here. I had this one laying around from my M52, and it's actually another lower radiator hose, and that fits literally perfectly. So that's an easy fix as well. Then onto the expansion tank. As you can see, I mounted it here in a very ghetto way with all straps, but this is just temporarily. I needed to get the car ready for a test day or a track day, which went well, by the way. The video is coming up after this one. And yeah, so I decided to put it in this spot, and it's working fine so far. So I had to connect the overflow from the radiator itself to this nipple on the expansion tank. And it was a little bit difficult because on the radiator the nipple is 10 millimeters and here it's 8. But luckily the hose that actually was on the overflow, I could heat it up and get it over there without a problem. So that fits. I don't know why they put 2 different sizes on there, but it worked. And I just took some of this clear hose because there's no pressure coming onto it, it's just the overflow. And I have to say the system works fine. Oh yeah, and one small big detail I forgot to mention. So the lowest hose here, as you know, it comes out horizontally, but the place where it mounts to the expansion tank, this is vertical. And so what I ended up doing, I took a look at like 90 bends and other bends, and it would be way too complicated and probably not working properly. So I asked my boss if he could weld the expansion tank. So I cut the big nipple off of the bottom and we welded it to the side here like that. Now it just fits on there perfectly, and then we welded shut the hole at the bottom. That's how I fixed it. So this is the reason is because all of this stuff is E36 stuff, and on an E36 the expansion tank sits here, and yeah, the hoses and stuff, everything is a little bit arranged differently. So if you have an E36 you don't have to worry about it. But this is how I have done it. And now next week, or I should say tomorrow, I'm gonna make a bracket for the expansion tank. Probably just in aluminum, something that bolts to the chassis right here, like this, clamps it down, and I think that will be sufficient. And when that is done, basically the Mishimoto setup is finished. And then for the wiring of the fan, so I put another temp switch in here, but it doesn't work. So I had a suspicion the guys from the auto parts store were gonna give me the wrong part, and they did. So this doesn't work. So the fan for the moment just works with a switch inside the car that I have to put on manually. But I actually barely have to use the fan, because when I'm driving the car is super cold. It's like yeah, the needle comes to like, I should say 1/3 or maybe a little bit more than halfway. So maybe it's running a bit too cold, but to be honest, I'm quite happy with that. So the cooling is amazing. As you can see, it fits really nice in here, like all the way to here, all the way to here, also to the bottom. It fills the whole gap. I don't know if you can see through here, but I'm really happy with it. When I turn on the fan, like when I'm in traffic or something, the temperature also immediately drops, so everything works really well. And I put a relay and all that stuff here. It's yeah, I just followed whatever scheme I could find online about this about the fan. It's really not that hard. You know, you just have a continuously plus or a continuously hot wire. You have a ground wire, then a cable that gets power after ignition, and then this blue one is the sender from the switch inside the car. So it's really easy. I'll copy the scheme and put it right here so you can see it and maybe understand it a little bit, because I know electrics can be a little bit scary, but in the end it's really fine. I think that wraps it up. So Mishimoto Radiator is a success. I would really, if you're having cooling problems or building a track car, I would really advise you to look into a full aluminium radiator, because it really makes a difference. Now I can do sitting burnouts, I guess, for 5 minutes, and the temperature is not gonna move, so that's awesome. Oh yeah, and then a sneak peek, or not a sneak peek, on my Instagram it's already out there, but I bought some new wheels. They are Opel Insignia Steelies. So originally 17 by 7. They are already widened 1 inch, so they are 17 by 8 all around, because but they have quite high offset. So originally IS41, so that's really high. In the back I can fit them, in the front I need to put on the spacers. The plan with these wheels, I'm gonna widen them even more. So you can see they're mounted in the back with spacers. If I take the spacer out, I can add 1.5 inches to the lip of the wheel, and then it's really gonna sit flush with the fender. I think that's gonna look really cool. So, and then they are 9.5 in the back, and I'm gonna do 9 in the front. And probably gonna keep these tires with quite a little bit of stretch, so that they fit in the fenders. But I think they're gonna look really cool. Those are gonna be my street wheels. And then I guess the ones that are on there now will be for the occasional track use. And yeah, something like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe. Check out my Instagram. It's at @g_e.28. There's a lot of more E28 content on there. A little bit behind the scenes, or like stuff about the wheels and such. So yeah, I suggest you follow me there as well. And I thank you for watching, and see you next time.